Hello and welcome everyone to episode 60 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
How's it going, everybody? I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8, ready to talk about some One Piece here. And it's the beginning of the end, Derek.
It is the beginning of the end. We are shockingly close. Like after this set, we only have 20 chapters, four weeks left. So basically we'll be close to the end of Skypiea by around April, which is weird to think about.
It literally feels like we just started it.
Yeah. Who knew? It really does feel like these 100 chapters flew by in a way differently to the Baroque Works saga.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why that is, but
I don't.
It feels like
it was chopped up into smaller chunks too, so you think that would go quicker, but no. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's very odd. It's very well paced. For sure.
Full steam ahead to our 300th chapter milestone.
Right? We're, I would say we're like 3/10 of the way there, but the main chapter is getting closer and closer to 1100. So it's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, yeah. we're catching up though.
We're getting there. We're slowly getting there, and you know who might not be getting there though? As we begin chapter 276, Shandian Rhythm, he just gets a little confused and insults a doctor.
Yeah. It's funny because he not only is he called Dr. Blackbeard, he looks like Blackbeard.
Yeah, he has the same body type as Blackbeard, the same hair,
the same hairstyle.
It's just he's a bit cleaner and actually has a beard.
And I noticed that the guy that Ace dined and dashed from is still chasing him.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Off in the corner.
Oh my god, this comedy of errors, I guess is the best way to put it. Just complete chaotic energy of, hey, I'm looking for this guy. Oh my god, it's that guy, as this guy is chasing Ace, so it's sure. We'll see how Ace goes as the chapters continue. But for now, Wiper tried to take out Eneru, worked for a little bit, and then he's like, oh no, I'm going to jumpstart my own heart.
Yeah, just complete BS, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much. And Wiper's, of course, shocked. Nami's panicking. Zoro's dead face, but like, what the heck is this guy? And that's when the whole, using the dial twice kicks in.
Yeah, it catches up to him.
He's down on his knees, coughing up blood, as he's like, hey, don't say my name to Eneru.
Yep. Say what you will about Wiper, but he's going down is what I'm trying to say. As his kind of final moments in the kind of battle royale we've been having, it's really fantastically written, I think.
Oh, he is such a engrossing character. Maybe maybe not a good guy by any means, but you could just see what drives him. He is there. He does have this berserker energy to him, and he's trying so hard to stand up to this impossible enemy, and he's gotten so close this time. They've taken out the vassals. He's before Eneru. He has reached the city of Shandora, trying to get to this place, and the only thing
he's
stopping
gotten everything, but just right there at the end.
Yeah, right there's Eneru who breaks his skates. I always forget what they're called, but yeah, they got his skates, and he's like, Neru's just doing his grandstanding thing. Is like, hey, that actually hurt. You used the sea prism, so I'm impressed you're still standing, but it's time for you to go. And I forgot he can do this. He can use his drums to summon electrical animals.
Yeah, which is one part awesome and one part just horrifying, seeing just that massive power going straight towards Wiper. That panel of him just getting zapped by a giant phoenix is just oh god. Yep,
and 300 million volts going right through that body. And I love the proactive nature of Zoro here, because he's like, okay, sea prism's in here, grab this, let me cut down Eneru.
Yep, all right.
And unfortunately, Eneru's ready with another lightning beast Kiten, and that's enough to take down Zoro.
He's just unstoppable.
Yeah,
This is a dark chapter.
Oh yeah, it is. Like seeing these two get taken down, just electrified like that, and it really goes to show his mastery of mantra, unlike the others. Like, I'll be honest, our best example of mantra was Satori before this. Yeah. The others had it a little bit, but nothing to that degree, that great degree. Eneru, though, he just is so aware of everything, and we actually get an explanation to just how much expanded it is later on. But for now, the only one standing is Nami.
Yeah.
Not technically. It's like, I lied. I forgot. Wiper gets back up. So Wiper is still standing. Like he has...
Which is...
Okay, he is out mastering pain compared to Zoro. That is impressive.
Yeah. He's... I don't know what to say. Like, he just won't go down. He is running on pure spite.
Yeah, spite, drive, energy, and will the ancestors. His eyes are white. He is basically just a walking comatose patient at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then we get this tease of backstory for the Shandorans, or Calgara at least. It's like, because he has this flashback just like to that previous leader. It says, your ancestor, the great warrior Calgara, had one more reason. That's right. And it's the reason that was most important to Calgara. Listen,
but we don't see it.
Calgara had, and then the El Thor hits.
Yeah.
It's like, jeez.
And it just,
damn you,
just
Oda.
A smoldering crater.
Yeah. Nothing really left. Everybody else gets blown back. And that's when Nami's the only one left. Yeah. And you can't blame her. They're just constantly flashing to all the people that are down and out.
Right. It's like, what is she going to do?
Yeah. She can't do anything. So, of course, it's time to revert to the buggy method. Take me with you. I'll join you. I'll go to the World Dreams. And then there is like staring her down, and he's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
This will work.
Yeah. And I mean, that was sort of I feel like the whole point of his spiel before this, where he was like, I mean, you guys are going to die anyway, so you might as well come with me.
Yeah, pretty much. In the meanwhile, before we end off this chapter, we go back to Conus, who has managed to reach Angel Island, and we see, I forgot all about him, McKinley.
Yeah!
McKinley's back. And they're still keeping everybody on the alert of Conus, and they're still working for Eneru, and we end with that shot of McKinley. Yeah, there's no clue.
They don't know the truth.
Man, that chapter flies by, but as far as Wiper's last stand, that's good stuff.
It is real good stuff. Yeah, he has already earned my respect as a character who I really didn't think that much about, kind of as far as my memories of Skypiea are concerned. But he has kind of become like
a favorite.
Yeah, he's become a big favorite.
Yeah, like Gonfor was stuck out of my mind more. I think because he used to be the former Kami when I was going back to this. The fact that Wiper was there almost showed up even sooner than Gonfor, and had such an effect up at this point. Showed up sooner, lasted longer than Gonfor. Yeah, this dude is legit.
Yes. He is a threat, and he's I don't know. I find his story genuinely like relatable and fascinating in its own right.
Absolutely.
So it's good stuff.
I do have a SBS, and my God, the attention of these
the readers,
Japanese readers. They spotted in the scene where Robin's reading the poneglyph below Alabasta. Somebody inspected that enough that they noticed Japanese written in there that just says Panda Man. And Oda confirms, it's like, hey, impressive. I forgotten that I put it in there. But yeah, the hidden panda isn't just in the art. It's Panda Man is everywhere. Panda Man has shown up a few here and there, but we just haven't mentioned it too much because they'll have little panels like, hey, Panda Man was here during this section and that sort of thing. But holy crap. Honestly, it's not as much about Oda. It's about the attention, like the people, the way the readers of One Piece scan this stuff and just discover those hidden details.
If you're reading this week to week and you want more One Piece, like I guess that's what you do, is that you read every chapter under a magnifying glass and see what you find.
That's true. And it's proven time and time again that there's at least some kind of Easter egg here and there. So, yeah.
It doesn't help that Oda encourages it because he's so damn good at it.
Yeah, that's the truth. Oh, but yes, let's get to chapter 277, Maxim. And this town is sick of Ace, and so they're throwing him in the river, which...
Throw him... He's going to die.
Yeah, one, he's going to die. Two, he's allowing it to happen. Three, that's a big bounty they just tossed in the river, I'm sure.
It's one thing that he just let it happen. Like, if they tried to touch him, they'd burn because he's fire, but no.
I mean, I guess it shows how much of a good guy he is that he just lets it happen. But unlike Luffy, he doesn't try to avoid it. He's just like, oh, well.
Yep, all right. I guess I'm going to die. Oh.
I guess so.
I would like to think, as headcanon, is that they're all rocking Sea Prism Stone.
Yeah, it's like, we know what you are.
We prepared for you.
This is the most powerful town in existence. But yes, we pick up back with this angel army, the white berets. And Conus is coming in determined, and they're ready to take her out. And that's like, it's like, all right, Conus versus the white berets. How's this going to go? And it just kind of goes away. But I do like the determined look on her face. Like it's cool to see how much she's kind of evolved since they first met her.
Yeah, once we get to it, I feel like she's got some genuinely compelling stuff. But
absolutely,
for now,
this is sort of her highlights. I'd
yeah,
say.
Yeah. Which, again, I didn't realize she had any.
Right, exactly. We go back to Nami and Eneru, and Nami's trying to take her, the waiver along?
Yeah.
And, she's just like, I can leave it behind if you don't want, but it's my favorite and I just want to go. And he's like, well, you don't really need it, but all right, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's when she spots this thing that was hidden back in a cave. And Eneru starts, of course, bragging.
He's got nobody else to brag to at this point. They're all dead.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I left 5 of you here because I needed to exposit. So I'm glad at least one of you survived.
Yeah.
But apparently something that only he can steer because it runs on lightning. So I have an excess of power, but I must save that. So I needed a conduit, a source for a mechanical energy, which is where the gold hidden on the island comes in handy. He's created a flying ship, which definitely... Like, this is more grand than a lot of Final Fantasy airships.
It's seriously, and it's massive. And just look, like, turning the page and having that reveal and seeing all of the detail on it, it's like, as a manga page, it's genuinely jaw-dropping. Just like the amount of detail that Oda put into it.
It's huge, and of course, it all goes back to a ship.
Yeah.
Whether it's a ship or, whatever kind of ship you might want to think of, it has that. But also, it also just shows how ostentatious he is. Like, it seems to be mostly function over form with all the paddles and whatnot. I don't know how this thing flies, but the giant face is just like, did you really need that in Arrow?
Yeah. Oh, I love that he had to have somebody go over in ink and put the kanji for God just like off to the side.
He needs to know, like people need to know who's riding up on this. So
this is freaking Pimp My Ride.
And then we go back to Shandora, and it's time for some body horror because God. Oh God.
I like that he dedicates 2 pages to this.
It's so gross. Where the snake is passed out, we see it blink where it looks like eyes, but obviously you can sort of see the hands lifting it up. Then his eyes bulge out, which is terrifying to look at. And then it blinks again, and then you finally zoom in and see that it's Luffy.
Zoom in of Luffy. Yeah.
That somehow made it up to his eyes, and he taps on the wall. Which is just...
I guess when you're a giant snake, like, I guess, I don't know how you feel, like, every sensation, but I look at that, I'm just like,
it's like, I hate having a bug in my eye, like a little gnat getting in my eye. No. It just goes to show how knocked out it is.
Yeah, it's just, when you're too tired, you're just like, all right, whatever, man. I didn't remember that that's how they got out, and that it was that simple.
Yeah, it's just they took a wrong turn. I got this fun little comedy bit where it's like, you went the wrong way, and they go down. It's like, okay, out the mouth. We're finally out. And I like how it mostly focuses on Isa when they get there. It's like, we finally made it out, but where are we? They're just looking around, and she spots Luffy had climbed up to the top of the I guess, pyramid, the structure, the ruin.
Yep.
And we get this wonderful big, not 2-page, but definitely big enough spread where Oda knows you were tired of him being in there, and that snake.
Yes.
Just,
Thank
I'm
God.
out, I'm free. Hell yeah.
Thank God.
Isa, I like that we get a little bit more pathos because of Isa being like, wait, is this our homeland? How'd we get here?
Right,
And
yeah.
that's when Luffy is surveying everything going on and spots the big hole, and he immediately goes down and finds Zoro knocked out. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, how did this happen when you were here? This is
Like, that's not... Oh, yeah.
this is not good. And that's when you spot all the other bodies, and Isa finds Wiper, and oh man, that was like Luffy's like, man, the guy with the bazooka was so strong. Who took them all down? And Isa felt out. It's like, oh, the Kami did this. It's like,
Yeah.
and we get the reveal that the inside of the snake kind of blocks the mantra, so she couldn't tell what was happening outside.
Which makes sense.
And Robin, only one still left conscious, down but not out, because he's able to relay the information to Luffy. And he says that, and she tells him that Nami was taken by Eneru, and that he plans to destroy Skypiea. So it's like, okay, there's your motivation, Luffy. He's gonna do this thing. You gotta stop him or try to get her back.
You're the only one left.
Yeah, you're the only one left, and we know how stubborn you are. There's your motivation. Go do it.
Yep.
I liked how this is crossed over with just a few panels of Konos actually getting past the gate, like so determined, and actually making it to the Sky Island, the Angel Island. Robin finally says, like, hey, Eneru is definitely going to go where this bell is. So you know, if you go look anywhere else, you might miss him. So go to him. And Ice is like, hey, I know where he's at. There's two voices moving around, so I'll take you there.
Good that she's here.
Yeah, we're not gonna let Luffy get lost. So good on that. And we're building up to that showdown because it's just take me to them.
Yeah, you see that close up, that determination on Luffy's face, and you're like, all right, it's over. Like we are getting into it.
Yeah, it's time for the big confrontation. Another SBS where somebody's mentioning how about talking about the origins of dance powder and how sometimes people try to keep rain away, specifically from Wimbledon, which I don't think I've ever heard that they use jets to keep clouds away from Wimbledon. Okay. Yeah. But apparently the idea for dance powder came from the substance called silver iodide. When it's burned and smoke is put into clouds, the cloud gets bigger. It's a very interesting powder. So that's kind of cool. It's based on real life. I don't even know if I knew that.
Yeah. Huh.
Amazing what you'll learn.
Learning real world information from One Piece.
Right? Well, let's get to it. Chapter 278, Canis. And fortunately, Ace did not die. His life was saved downstream and getting all that water out of his lungs. As we get this, honestly, kind of idyllic. Like, this is an RPG starting town.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, all right, sure. Very peaceful. Of course, Eneru grandstanding again on board the Maxim now with Nami. And he's just like, the girl from Angel Beach, she's causing commotion on Angel Island. Whatever.
Yeah, basically, yeah, you're all gonna like, because I guess that's as we'll get into it later, where we're like, okay, yeah, I mean, he basically says it here, like he can hear everything more or less. And so we saw way back in Skypiea where, you know, somebody, and even as recently as the bit with the other soldier and Konis's dad, where it was like, he can hear everything, and if somebody says as much as like a word against him, just zap. But at this point, he's just like, it doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, it's not the mantra that allows him to do this. It's his lightning powers.
Yeah.
He's able to read electric signals and listen in on conversations. So he's the ultimate security network.
Yeah, seriously.
And yeah, that's, as you said, he hears anything bad, down they go. And my God, that power set, we've talked about this a few times about how movie villains, like, if they could flesh them out a bit more, it would fit that. And that's what we're talking about. It's not just combat. He has this crazy ability to listen into conversations thanks to his electrical powers.
Yeah. And it's the power that fits the setting, I think, is the important thing for me too. Mm-hmm. Is that, like, this setting and kind of the way that Skypiea works, and kind of the culture around how the people treat Eneru as God and how Eneru treats the people. Like, I feel like his power set is sort of the perfect match for a god who can, it works for the theme.
Yeah, and it also matches, it shows Oda sort of matching the theme as much as possible now, because we had Crocodile went to a sand kingdom because he has sand powers, so he's naturally very strong and can easily use his powers to manipulate that kingdom. So, yeah, I like that these villains are sort of matching themselves to where they can most easily conquer things.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Nami's just like, okay, I need to get out of here, but how do I go? Because even if I escape from here, the island's going down, so what's going on? And then Eneru notices something, and he's like, "Who's that?" It's just like, it's nothing. It's just,
all right.
Yeah. Also, I just noticed this giant ass throne that
was
constructed for him.
Subtlety's not one of his strong suits.
No, not at all. But we go back to Conus. She's in the sea cow, and has made it to Angel Island, and McKinley...
I love her doing all this initial D stuff, just drifting past.
Drifting as they shoot at her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
And she still has that weird song going on to ward off enemies as they're going through. And I love the callback that she decides to run over McKinley just like Nami
Poor
did.
McKinley, getting hit in the face twice in the same day.
Crashes into him, jumps off, and then the waver crashes into McKinley's body. Like she jumps off to let it go to do like another like action scene pose.
Yeah. And then the way that she lands and she's got the bazooka on her back, she looks genuinely badass. Right? It's kind of cool.
I love that shot. She's just like, all right, action Conus, there we go.
Yeah.
And everybody's panicking and be like, hey, get away. You're a bad omen. If you're here, we'll get punished too. Leave. So it's like all that. And some guy comes in to try to stab her, and she just is ready. Has the bazooka ready aimed at it. It's like, don't come near me. It's a flame bazooka and I'll shoot. It's just like, ooh, Conus.
Yeah, wow. Just a complete 180.
How did Conus end up becoming more badass than Vivi? Because Vivi has her moments,
know.
But Conus looks more badass with the bazooka set up around her.
There's something about watching your dad get electrocuted right in front of your eyes that's just like, all right, no more playing around.
Right. It's like, I got a bazooka, I got people to save, I'm willing to do, I'm going to do anything. It's really fascinating. But of course, she's sending out her warning that, hey, Eneru's planning to obliterate all of us. And everybody, this kid's like, hey, don't say bad things about the kami. And actually hits her with a rock. And then he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't actually expect that to hit.
Right.
That's when, this was brilliant, where she drops the bazooka and just screams out, I don't accept Eneru as a god. Everybody else is like, oh God, get away from her.
Right, yeah. And she's, flashing back to her dad who, kind of met the same fate.
Mm-hmm. And then nothing happens. And that's that she's able to use that as explanation. It's like, it's because there's no sense in ending a measly life because they're going to destroy everything. We don't matter anymore.
I feel like that it's a really smart kind of way to book into this arc because we've seen as the reader, this exact thing happened at the beginning of the arc where it was just like, you say something bad about the kami and then just zap.
Yeah.
And then now, and all of the citizens are aware of that. So now, using that knowledge and using the reader's knowledge, it's like, okay, we're coming back to this exact same thing and nothing happened. And here's how we're going to drive the point home. Mm-hmm. It's all the convincing that the citizens need. And I think it's really handy.
Yeah. And even as readers, we got that confirmation from Eneru. It's like, yeah, I understand. It's not just like I sense something or anything like that. It's like, no, I hear them. I can totally understand it all. It works on a lot of levels, and it's honestly the best way to convince everybody, because I was wondering, it's like, how is she going to convince everybody? As I saw the white berets, I'm like, oh crap, there is that problem there. And it's a very cleverly set up way of actually making that happen. And so that's when she gets into a speech. It's like, we got to go to Cloud's End. We got to get out of here. We can't wait to be killed. And we can't just keep waiting around for a miracle. There is no kami here. Go. So blaming it on someone else after the fact won't save. It's not like before. I love this line. It's not like before where you could survive as a victim if you just looked after yourselves. We must do something. So blaming it on someone after the fact won't save your lives. So we have to actually do something.
Yeah, it's sort of cool because I feel like you get the implication that that's kind of how the society worked, where it was just kind of every man for himself. It felt like when it comes to living with and dealing with Eneru as a kami, of just like, like everyone is kind of understanding, like, just don't, if somebody is doing something bad, we have to avoid them. We don't want to get wrapped in with that, mind your own business, that kind of thing. But now CODIS is kind of having to bring everybody together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super good. And
I'm glad, like, I was worried that it would kind of, I think this lasts as long as it needs to.
Yeah.
I think in some other manga, it could overstay its welcome.
Yeah, you do get into that where he's like, oh, we're just going to, like, you want to get to the action, especially with Luffy heading there. And it's like, oh, do I really, okay, we get it. They need to evacuate. But no, you're right. It's just long enough.
Yeah, I think there's totally a possibility, even in, I feel like, other One Piece arcs, where there'd be like 3 chapters of like, oh, well, we have to convince people. Oh no, they won't believe me.
I mean, there was that whole thing in Alabasta. We're trying to get this battle to stop, and it just wouldn't end because Baroque Works kept causing problems. But man, I love this build up of Luffy running with Isa to get to Eneru, going back to Robin, who's definitely injured, but is the only one conscious. And she's basically she has her own mission where she's just like, we need to get out of here and at least get everyone to the top level, but I can't carry them all at once. So that's her mission. And I like how outside of Eneru and Luffy, all of our protagonists are women.
Yeah.
It's only the women left.
I didn't think about that, but that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. They survive the most. Like, obviously Nami's because she's just making sure not to enter a fight. Robin just hanging in there as a fighter. So I mean, it works on a lot of levels, and Conan, like, you get the sort of 3 levels of like how they're trying to defy Eneru.
Yeah.
Here's one of my favorite moments. It's an understated moment, but I love Eneru detects Luffy coming, and he's like,
yes,
it's not one of the 5 survivors. How irritating. It means my prophecy was wrong. It's like, yes, which, I mean, screw you.
The snake was blocking Eneru's mantra too. That
is true. I didn't even think about that. That's why I could, oh my God. It's like, how didn't he know about Luffy? And that's, yeah, that's why. Oh, that's good. Yeah. But we end with such a good panel.
I'm
a sucker
we've talked
for
about
these.
this before. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, we had the same thing with Crocodile, I think. A similar sort of panel with just kind of looking down below from on high. It's rad. It's every single time. It's rad.
Always looks good. Especially cool with Luffy's clothes and tatters from the acid.
Yeah.
And he's just that serious, like, what did you do to my crew? And just like, what garbages are you referring to? And just like, Eneru, oh boy.
So it's time to get into the action then.
Oh yes, let's waste no time with that and get to chapter 279, Pirate Luffy versus Kami Eneru. But first, we get Ace awakening from being saved by this little farm girl who honestly
this really is an RPG town.
Right? It reminds me of
it's so cozy.
Oh, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, the girl there, the redhead. I'm blanking on her name.
Oh God, why am I blanking on her name?
Right?
God, that makes me... I know what you're talking about.
And honestly, the design of this girl is not cut from the Nami cloth, which I like.
Yeah,
it's somewhat original and kind of, it's kind of just a cute design. I don't know if I've ever seen
Oda draw like a farm girl before. Yeah, huh?
Yeah, it kind of just works out. So neat. But we'll see how this goes. Now we're done with the whole insanity of assaulting random people and running from getting food.
Yes.
But of course, we're back into Angel Island as everybody is panicking and grabbing their stuff, their loved ones, and getting into heading out to Cloud's End. But of course, all the people that had family within the Kami's army, they're asking Conus, like, where are they? What happened to them? And she's like, I don't know. And and that's when McKinley gets to stand up. It's like, all right, McKinley redemption arc where he's like, hey, we'll look into the Kami army's well-being. I guarantee I will deliver them to you later. So go on, get ahead. It will get crowded if you don't hurry. So leave. Oof. And that's when McKinley reveals, is like, yeah, I already know what they happened to them. I know what Enel is capable of.
They're toast.
Yeah.
Oof.
So we need to get these people out. And we get a backstory. It's like, I won't allow a repeat of what happened at Bilka. It's in the southeastern sky. and it's where Eneru was born and raised. It also disappeared without a trace 6 years ago, meaning he destroyed his own homeland and came to this island and even defeated the Sky Knight there.
Wow.
It's like, okay, it's probably the only backstory we're going to get on Eneru, but it's enough to show that just what type of man he is, that he just became so convinced of his own power that he didn't shackle himself down. He just got this whole ideology in his head. And it's like, no, I'm going to act on this.
Yeah.
Like, I am God because of this power set. Showing that shame is like, we were originally gone for, but we followed Eneru because, as long as we remained, we thought we'd be able to protect the people of the island. But in the end, it's the same thing that's going to happen to Boca, and this place is going to be destroyed.
I really like the extra little bit of added depth where, he's just like, he wanted to protect people. That's why he was, kind of a hard ass. Mm-hmm. He knew what kind of power that Eneru was packing. It was just like, we got to make sure that nobody, picks a fight with him. And
he's willing to get rid of intruders in order to protect the people here.
Yeah.
Let them go. McKinley's going to take care of the people's evacuation, but Canis is going back to help the Blue Sea people. And
boy,
they say their Hessos goodbye, and it's time for Luffy versus Eneru. And we got Luffy immediately throwing shade. He's like, I don't think I see anything godlike about you.
Yeah, just that glare back from Eneru is just even Nami's just like, oh god.
Yeah, well, it's not even the fact that he's glaring at her because she's actually telling Luffy to be careful. She's not on his side, he knows. And
yeah.
And he's just like, whatever. I can hear the Last Supper of the Angels, and they've learned the fate, so they're all trying to get around. It's like, I wonder how far they'll get. And Luffy's just like, you call yourself a commie, and Eneru, completely convinced of his own power, is like, you'll see.
Yep, yeah. I do love the sequence, by the way, of like Luffy running up the ship. Mm-hmm. And just kind of Spider-Manning his way up here.
Yeah, revealing his stretching powers to Eneru before the fight, rather than the actual, like, in the fight aspect, it's more a travel aspect, which we don't get to see too often. Usually it's when Luffy's taking out people, not traveling somewhere. Yeah. But we get a name for our third type of devil fruit. I don't know if we've heard this name before for it. Paramythia. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, oh, you're just a Paramythia. You're no match for me. Completely powerless. And does a horizontal L-Thor straight into Luffy.
Which, is that his most powerful attack we've seen so far?
I think L-Thor is just generally his most powerful attack. It's what he uses to take out, non-believers. That's what leaves those giant holes in the trees and breaks apart everything. I think so. It's his most powerful attack. And, we see, God, the shading.
Yeah, it crumbles. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, there's a giant hole back there. There seems to be nothing left. And Luffy's just fine. He's just like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it missed almost.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you were able to dodge it. Even Nami's like, dodge? And then he's like, all right, bring out the 6 million volt lightning dragon, which just completely envelops Luffy. Again, great shading, all this. And nothing.
Yeah. And then he gets in close.
Yeah. With 100 million volt Vari. And Nami's starting to realize, wait, does lightning doesn't work because he's made of rubber? And Luffy's just like, hey, stop it. And pushes him away.
Stop. Yeah, get off.
And that's when we get the Luffy gritting teeth, Nami being shocked. I love Isa and Pierre's faces. And then the best of all,
yes,
you turn the page and there's just Neru's face is like, what the hell?
I think that the fact that it's one full page, and again, I have to break down, because this is one of my favorite gags in all of One Piece. Even though it's so obvious, where you're just like, yeah, he's rubber. So like, I don't know, you don't think about it, because like Eneru is just one-shotting guy after guy, just like down they go. Like, he's been untouchable the whole arc. And then here comes Luffy, just like, oh, he's made of rubber, so you can't touch him. And I was on the floor the first time I read this.
Right. I watching the anime, seeing this happen, and realizing, like, because you're used to Luffy stretching, you're used to him calling himself a rubber man, but you don't, for whatever reason, it doesn't click in your head. Rubber man. It's not
you're just like literally rubber.
Yeah, you're thinking in terms of Mr. Fantastic sort of thing from Fantastic Four, but he's just able to stretch. He's not made of rubber. He just has the ability to stretch. So in my mind, that's what Luffy was capable of. But for Oda to actually bring in the aspect of him being rubber is amazing. And to see Eneru, who has been nothing but supremely confident in himself this entire time, have that face.
Yep.
Just so good.
Then, God. And then, like, you see him, like, the copium starts where he's just like, stay calm. Physical attacks have no effect on my body. He's just a little blue sea monkey. And then that kick straight to the gut.
Yeah, sends him down. And I'll be honest, I actually forgot. I thought the kick was what caused that face. I forgot that it was him not able to actually do damage. Yeah. So, it just made it all the better. And it's one of my favorite sequences. I had this labeled as a punch. One of my favorite punches. And I forgot. It's not actually a punch.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, that's brilliant. It's so
brilliant.
Good. And I love Nami's little explanation here. It's like lightning is completely useless. Not even Eneru could have imagined there'd be someone in the world against whom lightning would be useless. So maybe Luffy is Eneru's one and only natural enemy.
And isn't that just the best?
Right. And that's the thing we were mentioning before, is how in the last episode, we were talking about how Eneru is still powerful compared to modern villains.
Yes.
Because of this power set. But he's in trouble because it's Luffy and not anybody else.
I don't want to spoil it because I think it's in an SBS way later. But Oda does actually break down how powerful he is relative to like where he would be on the scale of other One Piece villains.
Oh man.
The answer, I won't say like how he explains it, but the answer is very high.
Oh.
is if he was down on the land with all the other characters, how powerful would he be? He'd be like very.
Yeah. I believe it. I mean, I'm not sure of many honestly, I'm not sure if I can think of anybody like that could actually stand up to him, because maybe fire can stand up to him, maybe the sand. Although I think like Crocodile would get turned to glass.
Oh God, yeah.
So
that would be an interesting interaction,
right?
There would be a lot of interesting interactions with Eneru.
Yeah, there totally would be. Yeah, we got another SPS to finish this chapter off, and nothing too much, although I do love somebody calls him out. It's like, hey, why do all the beautiful women in One Piece have large breasts? Oda, you're an idiot. There's more to women than just big breasts. And Sanji, you understand me, don't you? And Oda just makes a joke out of it. It's like having Sanji talk. It's like, what matters most in the person is our heart. Oh, hey, there's Nami wearing a swimsuit. And then Sanji runs off.
Yes, of course. I will say, is not the last time that Oda... and obviously the person asking this question is, just being silly.
Yeah.
But I think he does answer some questions that have legitimate criticism, and he just kind of brushes it off with a joke, which
yeah.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But
yeah, I'm curious about that one. So
in this particular instance, it's funny, but and if it were the only time, it would still be funny. But
yeah, I mean. Oda has a type.
Yeah, he does.
All right. Well, time for our final chapter, 280, Floating. And we got Ace's search, where the dairy lass, Moda, has a dilemma, this letter of hers. And apparently she changed Ace's clothes because he's in a completely different outfit.
Wow. Okay.
Getting a little, all right.
No wonder why she's blushing.
I really like her design for some reason.
Yeah, she's cute.
It's just a fun design. We get back into the chapter itself, and Neru's down on the ground, and Luffy's standing over him.
What a wild image. I just want to point that out after like 50 chapters of him.
Just terrorizing people. And Luffy's just like, get up. And Nami realizing, oh crap, we can defeat him. And he's just like, and Neru finally asks him, like, what are you? And he's like, I'm Luffy, I'm a pirate, I'm a rubber man. He's like, what the hell is rubber?
Yeah. That's the whole solution. Yeah, Nami's just like, yeah, rubber doesn't exist up here.
Mm-hmm. But as we've said many times in the past, just because we know how to take care of get past a power of an enemy, doesn't mean that the fight is over, because he still has mantra and a lot of other abilities. So
this is kind of like my favorite section in any kind of One Piece fight, where we are kind of on even-ish ground now. Like we have figured out how to hit the bad guy, but we still have to deal with the rest of his kit.
Yeah. And in this case, Luffy is able to hit the bad guy, but now he needs to do it again, because between the mantra and between him being able to like basically teleport away into lightning, that's definitely an issue. And there was like, yeah, don't get cocky. He got him pinned to the side of the wall with his pole at the throat. And he's like, nah, if electrocution, that's not the only way to use lightning. If that won't work, there's other ways. And Luffy tries to get back from his like, crap, he can read my minds again. And I love we just get more of Eneru's thought process. Okay, so he's a Paramythia. He basically retains the original shape. So let's try this. And he's able to transform his pole into a spear.
Luminous Forge is a cool name for that.
That is good stuff. I like this little interaction. It's like, aha, as I thought, your weakness is sharp objects. Yeah, that's right. Hey, don't tell him. And Luffy goes to use the Gatling, but he disappears and is able to go inside the face, the gold face.
Yeah, the gold, I guess, gold conducts electricity.
Yeah, so he's able to just travel through gold, which is fascinating in terms of that. Like, man, what a way to think about all these power sets.
Yeah, and I love, like, he goes through the gold. Luffy, like, he catches the spear, but because, like, electricity is hot, he gets burned by the spear.
Yeah, but I also like that he's like, okay, I burned him. I got him on the ropes. So, I don't need to worry about you. But Luffy, he does not know that Luffy can take a lot of pain. So Luffy brings out the battle axe and actually is able to stamp him into the ground.
I think this section of the fight is so even. That's what makes it so fascinating.
Oh, I love it. I forgot how even this part was, because I honestly thought it was a beatdown right off the bat. It's like, no, Eneru immediately recovers. And is impressive because he's able to actually see the Gatling and catches Luffy's arms. And it's like, hey, you haven't actually multiplied. Get in the ground. So he's just like, all right, you're in the ground. I'm not letting you mess up my plans. So, want to see the destruction of the whole island with me? Let's go. And he uses his 200 million volt Very to start up the Maxim, and it begins lifting off. Yeah. And Ice is left behind. Nami's still up there. And it's just like, Luffy's basically crawling out a hole. It's like, all right, now he's like, oh God, I gotta get out of here. I gotta escape. Luffy, hurry up and defeat Eneru. We gotta go. Oh God, what do we happen? Like, she's just panicking at this point. And I love this. Luffy just like, she calls out to Luffy, and Luffy just tosses her his hat. He just says, quit your worrying. You're a crew member of the future king of the pirates. Stop looking so pathetic. It's like, holy crap.
Which
Luffy.
is kind of harshly worded. I wonder if it came off that way in Japanese. But it is sort of cool how calm he is here.
Mm-hmm. It's like, whatever, I got this. So, Nami's back on hat duty, which Nami's always the one that gets to be hat. Duty.
Yeah.
He always does give it, like, he does seem to almost trust Nami the most, because he always gives her the hat, and she can fix it. That's true. And I love this. King of the Pirates, like, it's not the reaction like, you, King of the Pirates. It's like, no, what is King of the Pirates? And control of what kingdom? And I get that beautiful spread of the Maxim lifting off amongst the forest and the clouds.
What a rad set piece.
Right? We started this whole thing. I couldn't have told you that we'd end on an airship.
Yeah. That's so freaking cool.
Yeah. And he's just like, king of the majestic oceans of the world. That's quite impressive. But let's finish our business here in the sky. It's like, round one done.
Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah. The round one.
We got a little trade off where it's definitely not going to be easy. Just because Luffy can hit him doesn't mean it's over.
Yes. And which is, again, it's the crucial part. Like, it's so many One Piece arcs work this way, but it's still satisfying every time, because I think Oda is so good at building up his villains to just be this, like, insurmountable wall. But then once you figure it out, and then that's where the fight starts. Because I think it's where a lot of shonen manga can get into that kind of BS, kind of Deus Ex Machina kind of territory, where it's like, hey, we figured it out, we win. But like, I really appreciate that. Sort of figuring out the opponent's weakness is the starting line.
Yeah. And
it makes it so much more satisfying.
Yeah, I agreed. Man, it's just fun. And we'll see how this battle evolves as we as we continue on, because we still have a ways to go. There's a lot that can happen in these 20 or so chapters that make up the rest of Skypiea. But we do have an SBS that breaks down our Paramythia, Zoan, and Logia type devil fruits.
Yeah, I was wondering when we were going to get this.
Yeah, so it lists out all the fruits we've seen up to this point. Most of them Paramythias. Then, of course, we got some Zoans. And then finally the 4 Logia type from Smoker, Ace, Crocodile, and now Eneru. And it does...
Lo and behold, they're all the strongest ones.
Yeah, it's like you kind of get his point that the Logia type does seem to be just the most powerful of the devil fruits.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I guess it all depends on the user, of course, but it's hard to say whether with more Paramythia types out there, you almost wonder if Paramythia type is the weakest. I don't know.
I feel like there might be an explanation for that down the line that I just don't remember. I feel like that might be the case, but I can't say with confidence if like anybody utters that out of their mouths at any point. But I think that might be the implication. It
might just be the fact that Logia types tend to be the most powerful, and the other two are trailing behind.
I think it might be more that the Paramythia types are the most common.
No, that's true. Although I'm looking over this list, I'm actually kind of surprised that the wax fruit is not a Logia type.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he didn't want to have to worry about it. It's like I don't need to. I don't want to figure out how he hits a wax man. It kind of tread the same territory as
it got
Crocodile.
nerfed.
Yeah, definitely got nerfed. It's fine, but yeah, there's our chapters, and I'm so happy to finally reach this point.
We are getting there. It feels so good. I'm so. I was about to say that like I'm ready to see this arc wrap up. I'm not tired of it. Like I'm enjoying it, but I'm definitely like I'm ready to see how this wraps up, because there's so much I don't remember about these last 20 chapters.
There is one major thing I remember about this fight, and it's something I tend not to like. I didn't really enjoy it in the anime. I'm not sure if the manga will improve it, but we'll see. But there's one thing I think it has a great start, but I do feel like it loses its way a little bit. So we'll see if it changes my mind as we go along.
Yeah. It's wild to think we've basically got a month left.
Right. So yeah, with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 276 to 280 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. Not really a whole lot to talk about. Just follow me.
yeah, check him out.
If you want to see more of that stuff.
Yeah, just follow him. That's all you should do. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 281 to 285 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
100 million volts, body!
Of course! If I'd thought about it, I would have realized it sooner! Lightning can't hurt Luffy!